Alrighty, let's go ahead and do another video. So I'll just do this one just to kind of hold everyone over here for about a week, probably. Um, I think it's important that we all look at the bigger picture of what is happening in the United States and indeed the rest of the world. But that's harder to make heads or tails out of. The United States will continue to it will baffle folks at some point, but I think that it cannot avoid the empires of Europe, cannot avoid, what occurred with the Roman Empire, what occurred with the Mayans, or with whichever empire you want to say. But I do think that, the United States will not exist as it is today. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to be any more dramatic than that. And these little stories, like, for example, the Las Vegas attack where three dudes came into to rob this vape shop, and one of the dudes who jumped the counter got stabbed. So many lefties and all these folks who talk about so much about violence. All these violent folks who are just like, who, they say, oh, well, bash the fash, punch on Nazi. Suddenly they grow a fucking conscience and are like, oh, you shouldn't stab a guy 7 times, or you shouldn't do that. That's fucked up. And it's just like, oh, people should be more important than property. And it's just like, I hate the fucking hypocrisy. But anyway, that's about all the news that I saw and all the bullshit that I saw. These events will continue to occur. And it will continue to get worse. And I think that is a trajectory that we are on. The system is old. And I think as I read more of John Michael Greer, I see that, he does have a point. And I think, like I say, with John Michael Greer and with these other writers, I don't think they expect... They're just giving an outline of what's going to occur. But they're explaining how it's occurring as well, which is important. I'm up to the point where, basically the elite are abstract and the leadership is abstract. And these different organizations become abstract. We see the expansion of the IRS potentially, thinking that that's going to save the system, or it's going to, you militarize all these federal orgs that really have no business having firearms. Like, why should the IRS have firearms? I mean, talk about Nazi Germany. I mean, whew. But anyway. My point is this, is that the bigger picture is that the system is calcified. You have Nancy Pelosi, who can't even make a speech talking about Ben Franklin and saying those who, actually, and that's Thomas Jefferson, I believe, but can't even give a good quote of Benjamin Franklin without completely whizzing it down her leg. So we see a system that is old, and that really people are just holding it up because they were taught to respect the system, and because police can come in and fuck you up. When these systems collapse, you're going to get warlordism. You're going to get effective fighting forces outside of the National Guard, outside of the police, who are going to be relied upon more and more. This will occur. This is the same thing with the Goths and Visigoths being brought into the Roman fold. That's the reality. And, the thing is, I mean, you have LARPers like the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys and whatnot, but I think elements of that may turn into something else. But that's the reality. Is that we see this system slowly but surely crumbling. We see the United States can't even make its recruiting goals for the U.S. Army. Of course, people will talk about more racism and they'll talk about whatever. It's like, yeah, that's part of it, but people just don't want to do it. It's that simple. And to me, it's just a sign of the times. I think that people generally believe that somehow, and genuinely believe that this country will somehow pull itself out. I don't think it will. I think it will personally keep on getting worse. But it's going to be very slow decline. And I think, like I said, once again, this is influenced by John Michael Greer. So these are not originally my thoughts, but it's going to be a slow stair-step decline of, man, it's really bad. Holy shit. And then that's, we're going to have 3 or 4 years just kind of like, oh, I'm used to this. Oh, we're going down another, waterfall. It's almost like that scene in the last Indiana Jones movie. Wait a minute. They're going to make another one. But the more recent one with Shia LaBeouf. And, of course, they go over that waterfall, falls 3 times or whatever bullshit the line that is. But it's like they fall once, they fall twice, and then they fall the 3rd time. It's just, and that's kind of like what it's going to be with the fall of the U.S. We're going to be stabilized by some policies or something like that the federal government is willing to do. But ultimately, the system is just too expensive to keep up. That's the reality. The maintenance costs will be too much, and areas will be abandoned. That's something I even thought beforehand. But now reading John Michael Greer and him kind of feeding my confirmation bias, if you will, I realize that's the truth. And once again, I always preach this idea. I don't really care about political groups. I'll study it. I'll study Marxist-Leninism, or I'll study more fascism or National Socialism. But ultimately, these ideas are old hat. I mean, Caleb Maupin can go ahead and go about doing his LARP stance, but it's like nobody wants to go to those things because he's a nerd. I mean, how many times was Caleb Maupin shoved in a locker? I mean, god damn. I feel sorry for Caleb Maupin because I think he's a genuinely intelligent guy, but he's such a nerdy guy. You just look at him, and even when he was like first starting out and he had like the long curly hair and stuff like that, it's like, oh my goodness, this guy. Anyway, the whole CPI conference bullshit, it's like, no, man, nobody cares about what you have to say. You can go ahead and support China and Russia all you want to. Go ahead, but, whatever. The bigger picture is that this country may hold on for as long as it can, but it's not immune. Now, of course, like I said, the United States is seen as a fluke of history for various reasons, but you can only play the odds for so long. That's my take on it. You can't really make that work. Anyway, I think that's all I got. Hopefully y'all enjoy that. See you later. Goodbye.